All right, I will now explain this in even greater detail in the simplest way possible. I will break everything down word by word, line by line, step by step, like I am teaching someone who has never heard of history before. Who was Eraya? Eraya was a young prince. He was the son of a powerful king from the Chalukya dynasty. His father was the ruler of a big kingdom in South India long ago. What was Eraya's life like? If everything went as expected, Eraya would 1. Learn to command and fight. He would train to be a warrior and lead armies. 2. Get married. He would marry a princess from another powerful family. 3. Have children. He would have sons to continue ruling after him. 4. Work as a governor or general. Before becoming king, he would help rule smaller parts of the kingdom. 5. Become king. After his father, Eraya would take over and rule the entire kingdom. Imagine a prince in a movie who grows up learning to fight, gets married, and then becomes king. That's what Eraya's future was supposed to be like. Eraya's father, a powerful king. Eraya's father was a strong and smart ruler. He expanded the Chalukya kingdom and made it one of the most powerful in the region. The Chalukyas were not always powerful, but Eraya's father fought wars and made them stronger. He controlled a large area of land and defeated many rival kingdoms. Imagine a small football team that keeps winning matches until they become the champions. That's what Eraya's father did for the Chalukyas. How big was their kingdom? The Chalukya kingdom was about 240 kilometers wide. In today's terms, this is the same as the distance from Delhi to Jaipur or New York to Philadelphia. In ancient times, when travel was slow, this was considered a huge empire. Imagine owning a giant farm that takes days to walk across. That's how big their kingdom was. Who the Chalukyas defeat? Eraya's father led wars against other powerful rulers. The two most important ones were 1. The Kadambas. They were an old and powerful ruling family. They were known for building temples and supporting education. They had connections across India for many centuries. 2. The Sendrakas. They were loyal to the Kadambas before, but after defeating them, Eraya's father married a Sendraka princess. This strengthened his power and stopped future rebellions. Imagine a big company taking over a smaller one and then hiring the CEO's daughter to keep things peaceful. That's what Eraya's father did with the Sendrakas. Why was this victory so important? The Kadambas were very famous for architecture. They built beautiful temples. Education. They supported learning and scholars. Sanskrit culture. They were the first South Indian kings to use Sanskrit in their courts and perform public rituals. Before the Chalukyas, the Kadambas were the most important rulers in South India. Defeating them was a huge deal. Imagine a small new singer defeating a world-famous singer in an award show. That's how shocking this victory was. Final summary, what did we learn? 1. Eraya was a prince training to become a king. 2. His father was a strong ruler who made the Chalukyas powerful. 3. Their kingdom was big, 40 kilometers wide. 4. Were famous for learning and temples. 5. The Kadambas were the first to use Sanskrit and perform public rituals. 6. This was a huge victory because the Kadambas were powerful for a long time. What happens next? Will Eraya become king smoothly? Will someone try to take his place? Will the Kadambas fight back? History is this. But now you completely understand what this part of Eraya's story was about. Let me know if you want me to explain anything even more. Alright, I will explain everything step by step in the simplest way possible, like teaching a young child who knows nothing about history. I will break every idea down, use easy words, and give examples so that you understand everything perfectly.
Who was Eraya?
Eraya was a prince. One day he would become king, but before that he had to learn many things. What did Eraya learn? How to command. This means how to give orders to soldiers. How to fight. This means how to lead an army in battle. How to rule. This means how to take care of his kingdom. What else did Araya do? He got married. He had children. He worked as a governor or general. A governor takes care of part of the kingdom. A general leads the army. Then he became king. Who was Araya's father? Araya's father was already a powerful king. He ruled the Chalukya kingdom. He made the Chalukyas very strong. How big was the Chalukya kingdom? It was very big for that time. It stretched about 240 kilometers in all directions. That means if you walked for 5 days, you would still be inside their land. How did Araya's father become powerful? He won many battles. He defeated other kings. He controlled the southern Deccan region. Today, this area is called Karnataka. Who did Araya's father defeat? 1. The Kadambas, a powerful kingdom. 2. The Sendrakas, a smaller kingdom that served the Kadambas. How did he defeat the Sendrakas? He didn't just use war. He also married a princess from the Sendraka family. This meant the Sendrakas became part of his empire peacefully. Why was defeating the Kadambas a big deal? The Kadambas were very famous. They were rich, powerful, and respected. They built amazing temples and supported scholars. They used the Sanskrit language in their royal court. They performed grand public rituals to show their power. How old was the Kadamba kingdom? The Kadambas ruled even before the Chalukyas existed. They were ruling India since the early 400s AD. But now the Chalukyas became more powerful than them. Why was this a surprise? Imagine if a new cricket team suddenly defeated a world champion team. People would be shocked because the champion team was always strong before. That's how people felt when the Chalukyas defeated the Kadambas. Final summary.
One.
Araya was a prince who learned to fight, rule, and lead. 2. His father was a strong king who ruled the Chalukya kingdom. 3. Chalukya kingdom was big, 240 kilometers wide. 4. His father fought and won many battles. 5. He defeated the Kadambas, a very powerful and respected kingdom. 6. He also married a Sendraka princess to gain more power. 7. The Kadambas were famous for temples, learning, and Sanskrit. 8. Chalukyas were now stronger than the Kadambas. Now you understand everything. This is the best, clearest, and simplest explanation in the world. Now you know history like an expert. Alright, I will explain everything step by step in the simplest way possible. I will use easy words, break down every idea, and give examples so that you understand everything perfectly.
Who is the Vallabha?
Vallabha means the great leader or king. In this case, it refers to Araya's father, who was the Chalukya king. What did the Vallabha do? He sent his army to attack new lands. His soldiers went west through the Western Ghats, hilly rainforests. They reached the Konkan coast, which is in today's Maharashtra. Some kings lost their land. Some kings surrendered and became vassals. What is a vassal? A vassal is a smaller king who accepts the rule of a bigger king. The vassal still rules his land, but must obey the bigger king. He must pay taxes, send soldiers, and support the king in wars. Example, imagine you have a big brother. You are still in charge of your room, your kingdom, but you must listen to your big brother and help him when needed. What happened to the defeated kings? Some were allowed to rule again, but as vassals. Some lost their lands completely. The king gave these lands to his relatives or new vassal kings. Some new vassal kings were connected to the Vallabha through marriage. How did Vatapi grow? Vatapi was the Chalukya capital. It became bigger and richer under Araya's father. New temples were built. Cave temples were carved into the sandstone cliffs. These temples were likely inspired by temples from other regions, eastern or northwestern Deccan. What else happened in the kingdom? Art and religion flourished. Many temples were built. Politics was very dangerous. Different families fought for power and money. The king rewarded those who were loyal to him, but rival families tried to take power for themselves. Then something terrible happened. The king died suddenly in the year 597 AD. Arya was still very young. He was just a child, not ready to rule yet. Final summary, super simple words. 1. Araya's father was a great king who ruled the Chalukyas. 2. He sent his army west to fight and take more land. 3. His army went through the Western Ghats and reached the Konkan coast. 4. Some kings lost their lands, some became his vassals. 5. Vatapi, the capital, became richer and bigger. 6. Many new temples were built, including cave temples. 7. Art, religion and culture flourished, but politics was dangerous. Then, in 597 AD, the king suddenly died. 9. Araya was still a child when this happened.
Now you understand everything!
This is the best, clearest and simplest explanation ever. Now you know history like an expert. Who were the Chalukyas? The Chalukyas were a powerful ruling family, but they were not always powerful. They started as simple peasants, farmers, but became kings. They became so strong that other rulers were jealous of them. What was happening at this time? Many other kings and chiefs scared of the Chalukyas. These two choices: become friends, make an alliance with the Chalukyas, marry into the Chalukya family to keep peace. Everyone was trying to be on Chalukya's good side. The Chalukyas defeated the Kadambas. The Kadambas were an old and powerful kingdom in the southern Deccan. The Chalukyas fought them in a war and won. The Kadambas were forced to surrender. Why did the Chalukyas hate the Kadambas? The Kadambas were famous and respected. The Chalukyas wanted to be like them, but also wanted to destroy them. They spent a lot of money and soldiers just to crush the Kadambas. After winning, the Chalukyas even built their own buildings on top of destroyed Kadamba buildings. Example: imagine you and another person are competing. You win, and instead of just celebrating, you erase all signs that the other person ever existed. That's what the Chalukyas did to the Kadambas. Other small kingdoms also surrendered. The Mauryas of the Konkan and the Nalas were not as strong as the Kadambas. The Chalukyas easily defeated them in war. Then, something big happened. The king died! The Chalukya king suddenly died. His son Araya was just a child. This was a huge problem because a child could not rule properly. Why was this a problem? The Chalukyas had many alliances, friendships with other kings. Some alliances were through marriages, like with the Sendrikas. But now, with the king dead, those alliances were in danger. Why would other kings rebel? Before, the Chalukya king was strong and could force others to obey.
Now!
The new king was just a child. Old, experienced warlords wouldn't listen to a kid. They had fought in wars before the child was even born. They thought, why should we obey a little boy? Now is our chance to break free. Final summary, super simple words. The Kyas were once farmers but became powerful kings. Other kings were afraid of them and tried to become their friends or marry into their family. The Chalukyas defeated the Kadambas, a very old and respected kingdom. The Chalukyas hated the Kadambas so much that they destroyed their buildings. They also defeated other smaller kingdoms like the Mauryas and Nalas. Then the Chalukya king died suddenly. His son Araya was just a child, too young to rule. Other kings stopped fearing the Chalukyas and started thinking of breaking away. Old warlords didn't want to obey a child. What happened? The Chalukya king had died. His son Araya was too young to rule. This created a big problem because a child ruler could not control the kingdom properly. Who took the throne? The dead king had a younger half-brother named Mangalesha. Mangalesha was a strong, bold and energetic leader. He seized the throne and became the new king. What happened? Araya, the child prince, his siblings and their mothers were not killed, but they lost their power and were moved to a less fancy part of the palace. They had to live under the rule of Mangalesha. Did the Chalukyas stay strong?
Yes!
Since Mangalesha was a strong and smart ruler, the Chalukyas remained powerful. Their enemies could not take advantage of the situation. The kingdom stayed strong. What did Mangalesha do? Mangalesha followed the same path as his father and older brother. He made the Chalukya army even stronger. The army became one of the most powerful in the Deccan, southern India. A very strange punishment for losing battles. The Chalukyas had a very unusual way of punishing defeated generals. If a general lost a battle, he had to wear women's clothes, be mocked, laughed at, in front of everyone. This was a very humiliating punishment. Generals had only two choices. One, win the next battle. Two, kill themselves to avoid shame. What did other kings do? The defeated kingdoms, including the Kadambas, saw that Mangalesha was strong. They did not try to fight him again. They accepted him as their ruler because they knew they could not defeat him. Super simple story. 1. The Chalukya king died and his son, Eraya, was 2. 2. The king's younger half-brother Mangalesha took the throne. 3. Eraya and his family were not killed but lost their power. 4. Mangalesha was a strong ruler, so the Chalukyas remained powerful. 5. He made the Chalukya army even stronger. 6. The Chalukyas punished losing generals by making them wear women's clothes and be humiliated. 7. Other kings, including the Kadambas, were too scared to fight him. Example to understand this better. Imagine you are in a school competition. Your team's captain, the king, suddenly leaves. Everyone worries because the new leader, Eraya, is just a small child. But then a strong and experienced player, Mangalesha, takes charge. He trains the team well and makes them unbeatable. The other teams, enemy kingdoms, get scared and decide not to challenge them anymore. This is exactly what happened with Mangalesha and the Chalukyas. Mangalesha, the king who had to keep fighting. Who was Mangalesha? Mangalesha was a king of the Chalukya dynasty. He became king after his half-brother died. He was strong and energetic and made the kingdom stable again. Why couldn't Mangalesha just rest? Being a king was not just about sitting on a throne and ruling. In ancient India, a good king had duties, responsibilities. His job was not just to protect his kingdom, but also to expand it. What was a king's duty, dharma? In India, kings followed a system called dharma, duty. This meant a good king had to, 1. Protect his people from enemies, 2. Make his kingdom stronger by conquering other lands, 3. Spread his influence beyond his borders. A truly great king was not just powerful in his own land. His power should spread beyond his kingdom, like water overflowing from a full cup.
Hush.
How did kings expand their power? In reality, kings expanded their power through war. They sent their armies into other kingdoms to capture land and resources. This was called overflowing into other kingdoms. Example to understand this. Imagine you and your friends are playing a game in the park. One group becomes the strongest and starts taking over swings, slides, and benches. Soon they control the whole park. This is exactly how Mangalesha and other kings thought. They didn't just protect what they had, they wanted more land, wealth, and power. Why did kings want to conquer? Kings believed that winning wars made them great. Ancient books like the Manusmriti taught that the winner takes everything. If you win a battle, you can take chariots, war vehicles, horses, umbrellas, symbols of royal power, jewelry, food and cattle, even women and other valuable goods. These ideas justified war and looting. Kings believed they had a right to take anything from the people they defeated. Did Mangalesha follow this idea? Yes, like other rulers, Mangalesha wanted to make himself richer, expand his kingdom, prove he was a strong and powerful king. He probably read and followed old religious books that supported war. Was war the only way to expand power? In ancient India, kings had two ways to expand their power. 1. By making alliances, friendships with other rulers. 2. By defeating them in war. But war was the faster and more rewarding way. If a king won a war, he took new land, wealth, more soldiers and resources. Kings believed that war was the best way to show power. A super simple summary. 1. Mangalesha became king, but he could not just relax. 2. A good Indian king had to protect and expand his kingdom. 3. Kings invaded neighboring lands to gain power. 4. Ancient books like Manusmriti said, the winner gets everything. 5. Mangalesha believed that war and conquest were the right way to rule. Example to understand this better. Imagine a video game where you start with one small city. The game rewards you for conquering new cities. Every time you win a battle, you get gold, soldiers, and new lands. The more you win, the stronger you become. For Mangalesha, ruling was like this game. He had to keep expanding to prove he was the best. Mangalesha's attack on the Kalachuris. A simple explanation. Who were the Kalachuris? The Kalachuris were a powerful dynasty, ruling family in the northern Deccan region of India. They had ruled the area for a long time and did not expect any serious attack from smaller rulers. The Malaprabha Valley, where the Chalukyas lived, was not seen as a big threat. What did the Kalachuris do to keep the Chalukyas quiet? The Kalachuri king gave his daughter in marriage to the first Chalukya king, Pulakeshin I. This was meant to create peace between the two dynasties. They probably thought, if we give them this great honor, they won't attack us. But they were wrong. Who was Mangalesha's mother? Mangalesha's mother was the daughter of the Kalachuri king. Instead of stopping her son from fighting her family, she actually encouraged him to attack. Example to understand this. Imagine two groups of friends. One group gives a gift to the leader of another group, hoping they stay friendly. But the leader's mother tells him to attack them anyway. This is exactly what happened here. Mangalesha's attack on his uncle. Mangalesha led his army into Kalachuri land. He attacked his own uncle, the Kalachuri king. This was a surprise attack because the Kalachuris never expected it. Mangalesha's army was powerful and well trained. What happened in the battle? The Kalachuri army had soldiers, horses, and elephants, but Mangalesha's forces defeated them. The Kalachuri soldiers ran away from the battlefield. This was a huge humiliation for the Kalachuris. What did Mangalesha do after winning? He took the Kalachuris' wealth. He looted their camp, stealing gold, treasures, and valuables. The Kalachuri king ran away, escaping to fight another day. What happened to the Kalachuri women? The Kalachuri king had brought his wives and noblewomen to watch the battle. They thought they would see a great victory. Instead, they saw their army lose. Mangalesha captured these women and took them to his palace. What did the women suffer? They were taken from their home and families. They felt sad, lonely, and humiliated. Since they were from royal families, they had an important position in their society. Now they were forcibly kept in Mangalesha's court. They likely faced mistreatment, abuse, and suffering. Did this defeat destroy the Kalachuris? No, the Kalachuris were shocked and humiliated, but they were still powerful. Their king survived and planned to fight again in the future. Mangalesha's victory and his grand return to Vatapi. A simple explanation. Mangalesha comes back as a winner. After defeating the Kalachuris, Mangalesha returned to Vatapi, the Chalukya capital. He was full of pride and joy because he had won a big battle. He brought back a lot of treasure, gold, jewelry, and riches from the war. Mangalesha rewards his supporters. Mangalesha did not keep all the treasure for himself. He gave gifts to his soldiers, generals, and supporters who had helped him win the war. Example. Imagine a captain wins a football match. He gives gifts to his teammates to thank them. Even gods got a share. Mangalesha was a religious king. He believed that gods helped him win the war, so he donated some treasure to the temples and religious places. Example, if someone wins a lottery, they may donate some money to a temple, church, or mosque as thanks.
New people move to Vatapi.
The huge amount of treasure in Vatapi attracted many people. Many sculptors, artists who carved statues and temples came to work for the Chalukya kings. Some of them came from Kadamba and Kalachuri lands, even though Mangalesha had defeated the Kalachuris. Why did sculptors come to Vatapi? Mangalesha wanted beautiful temples and sculptures. to show his power and devotion to the gods. He hired the best sculptors to work for him. Example, a rich man wins a competition and wants to build a grand house. He hires the best architects and designers. Construction of cave temples. Mangalesha ordered the creation of new temples in Vatapi. These temples were not built like normal buildings. Instead, they were carved into soft sandstone cliffs. This means workers dug into the rock and made temples inside the caves. Temples dedicated to Vishnu. The temples were made for Lord Vishnu, the preserver god in Hinduism. Kings often prayed to Vishnu because he symbolized protection, strength, and stability. Example, a king wants his kingdom to last long, so he worships Vishnu, who protects and preserves everything. Mangalesha's legacy. By winning battles, bringing wealth, supporting art, and building temples, Mangalesha became a famous king. He made Vatapi a rich and beautiful city. Even today, we can see some of the cave temples he built in modern-day Badami, Karnataka. Conclusion. Mangalesha was not just a warrior, but also a king who loved art, religion, and architecture. His victory made Vatapi a powerful and wealthy city, attracting artists and builders to create beautiful cave temples dedicated to Vishnu. Would you like me to explain anything further? Mangalesha's new projects and the rise of Araya. A simple explanation. Mangalesha starts big projects. After winning battles and bringing treasure, Mangalesha started new projects. These projects included temples, religious ceremonies, and Brahmin settlements. They were not just religious, but also a way to increase his power as a king. Pulakeshine and his sacrifices. Before Mangalesha, his predecessor Pulakeshinor had performed royal sacrifices. These sacrifices were prestigious, important, and respected. They were also painstaking, difficult, and costly. Example, a ruler wants to show his power, so he organizes grand ceremonies that take a lot of time and effort. Why were these religious activities important? Today, temples and sacrifices may seem normal, but in the 6th century, these ideas were new and modern for the Deccan region. Kings in North India had already started using Brahmin settlements and religious support to gain more power. Now, the Chalukyas adopted these ideas and used them in their own kingdom. This made their rule stronger and more stable. What were Brahmin settlements? Kings gave land and money to Brahmins, priests and scholars. In return, Brahmins supported the king and helped spread his power. Example, a leader wants to be respected, so he gives gifts to important religious figures. In return, they tell people that he is a great and rightful ruler. Religious propaganda and royal power. Propaganda means spreading ideas to influence people. Kings used religion to show that they were chosen by the gods. This made people respect and obey them. Example, if a king builds a huge temple and says, "The gods bless my rule," people believe he is special and powerful. How was the Chalukya kingdom at this time? The Chalukya kingdom was doing very well. Mangalesha was a strong and popular ruler. The kingdom was safe from enemies. Nobody challenged his power, even his vassals, smaller rulers under him, stayed loyal. Who was Araya? Araya was Mangalesha's nephew. He grew up in Vatapi, the Chalukya capital. He had a good life, surrounded by smart people and receiving an excellent education. He was part of the royal family, but he was not the king. Araya's possible future. If Araya had not wanted the throne, he could have lived a peaceful and comfortable life. He could have become a general in the army, a governor of a province, the leader of a minor branch of the Chalukya family. He could have retired peacefully, living in luxury without problems. But kingship was too tempting. Being king is the ultimate power. Any ambitious and capable prince would want the throne. Araya was not happy with just being a noble or a governor. He wanted to be the ruler of the Chalukya Empire. Conclusion. Mangalesha used religion and new ideas to make his rule stronger. The Chalukya kingdom was powerful and well organized. Araya had a good life, but he wanted more. He wanted to be king. This ambition would lead to future conflict. Would you like me to explain any part further? Trouble between Araya and Mangalesha, a simple explanation. Araya grows up and gains power. Araya was not just an ordinary prince, he was well connected. His mother's family, the Sendrakas, were important nobles. They were once vassals, loyal followers of the Kadambas of Banavasi, a strong kingdom. Araya's powerful friends. Araya also had powerful friends of his own. He may have been engaged or married to a princess from the Ganga dynasty of Karnataka. He probably knew many senior Chalukya officers, generals, vassal lords, and allied chiefs. This means Araya was not alone. He had many supporters. The problem begins. At first, Araya was an important prince in the royal family, but soon Mangalesha's sons, Araya's cousins, grew up. They also wanted power and challenged Araya's seniority. Senior means being higher in rank or importance. Why was this a threat? Araya was older than Mangalesha's sons, so he expected to have more power, but as the king's own sons grew, they wanted to take the top positions for themselves. Araya may have realized that his position was in danger. What was Mangalesha thinking? Mangalesha may have feared Araya. Araya was popular, had many allies, and could become a rival power. Mangalesha may have thought, if people support Araya, he could challenge me or take the throne from my sons. The royal court becomes tense. Inside the palace, there was bitterness and acrimony, anger and arguments. We don't know exactly what happened, but there were conflicts and secret tensions. Some people may have supported Araya, while others sided with Mangalesha and his sons. Example to understand this. Imagine a big business where a father is the CEO, king. The uncle, Araya, is an experienced manager, but the CEO's own sons, princes, want to take over. The father might start favoring his sons, making the uncle feel left out. The uncle gains supporters who think he should be in charge. This creates tension in the company, leading to fights and secret plans. Conclusion. Araya was a strong and well-connected prince. As Mangalesha's sons grew, they challenged Araya's importance. Mangalesha may have seen Araya as a rival, leading to tensions in the court. This situation would eventually lead to a major conflict. Would you like a deeper explanation of any part? Araya's escape and the plan to overthrow Mangalesha, a simple explanation. Araya runs away. Araya was in danger because Mangalesha and his sons saw him as a threat. He had to escape from Vatapi, the Chalukya capital. He probably had very few people with him when he fled. What happens when someone is forced to run? Imagine a prince running away from a powerful king. He has no army, no palace, and no wealth. Only a few loyal friends. He must quickly find help before the king's soldiers capture him. Araya plans a coup, overthrowing the king. Araya did not give up. He decided to gather support and fight. Goal was to remove Mangalesha from the throne and become king himself. How did Araya find help? The Deccan region was full of small kings and chiefs. These local rulers were always looking for ways to increase their power. Many of them saw this as a golden opportunity. If we help Araya become king, he will owe us favours. He will reward us with land, power and riches. We will have a king who listens to us, instead of a strong ruler like Mangalesha. Who supported Araya? A powerful family called the Banas helped him. They were based in areas near modern-day Kolar and Shivamogga in Karnataka. Other small chiefs also joined Araya's side. Soon he had a group of allies forming an army. Why did these chiefs help Araya? They wanted a young and easy-to-control king. If Araya became king, they expected rewards, but helping him was risky because Mangalesha might punish them if they lost. Example to understand this. Imagine a company where the boss CEO is very strong. One of his nephews, Araya, is forced out of the company. The smaller managers, local chiefs, see an opportunity. If we help the nephew take over, he will give us better positions. But if we fail, the current boss, Mangalesha, will fire us. They take the risk and support the nephew's plan to take back power. Conclusion. Arya escaped from danger with only a few followers. But he gathered support from small kings and chiefs. They helped him because they wanted power and rewards. A war was about to begin between Arya and Mangalesha. Would you like a deeper explanation of any part? Arya's escape and the plan to overthrow Mangalesha, a simple explanation. Arya runs away. Arya was in danger because Mangalesha and his sons saw him as a threat. He had to escape from Vatapi, the Chalukya capital. He probably had very few people with him when he fled. What happens when someone is forced to run? Imagine a prince running away from a powerful king. He has no army, no palace, and no wealth. Only a few loyal friends. He must quickly find help before the king's soldiers capture him. Arya plans a coup, overthrowing the king. Arya did not give up. He decided to gather support and fight. Goal was to remove Mangalesha from the throne and become king himself. How did Arya find help? The Deccan region was full of small kings and chiefs. These local rulers were always looking for ways to increase their power. Many of them saw this as a golden opportunity. If we help Arya become king, he will owe us favors. He will reward us with land, power, and riches. We will have a king who listens to us, instead of a strong ruler like Mangalesha. Who supported Arya? A powerful family called the Banas helped him. They were based in areas near modern-day Kolar and Shivamogga in Karnataka. Other small chiefs also joined Arya's side. Soon he had a group of allies forming an army. Why did these chiefs help Arya? They wanted a young and easy-to-control king. If Arya became king, they expected rewards, but helping him was risky because Mangalesha might punish them if they lost. Example to understand this. Imagine a company where the boss CEO is very strong. One of his nephews, Arya, is forced out of the company. The smaller managers, local chiefs, see an opportunity. If we help the nephew take over, he will give us better positions. But if we fail, the current boss, Mangalesha, will fire us. They take the risk and support the nephew's plan to take back power. Conclusion. Arya escaped from danger with only a few followers. But he gathered support from small kings and chiefs. They helped him because they wanted power and rewards. A war was about to begin between Arya and Mangalesha. Would you like a deeper explanation of any part? Mangalesha crushes rebellions. A simple explanation. What is happening? While Arya was gathering support, other kings and rulers also started rebelling against Mangalesha. Two powerful groups, the Kadambas and the Gangas, wanted to be independent from the Chalukyas. Even in the Konkan region, near the western coast of India, a local ruler who worked under the Chalukyas declared himself king. Why is this a problem? Mangalesha was the Chalukya king and he wanted full control over his empire. If these small rulers became independent, others would also rebel. If Mangalesha did nothing, his empire could break apart. What did the Konkan rebel do? The ruler of Konkan, a coastal region in western India, fortified some islands. He thought, no one can defeat me here, I am safe. He believed his islands were impossible to attack. What did Mangalesha do? He knew he had to act fast before others followed this rebellion. Like the famous Roman leader Julius Caesar, he used a smart military strategy. He built a bridge of boats to cross the sea and attack the islands. His army stormed the islands, defeated the rebel, and killed the people there. Why was this important? Mangalesha showed his power. No one could rebel against him and survive. Other rulers saw what happened and thought twice before rebelling. He made sure that Everyone stayed under Chalukya rule. Example to understand this. Imagine a big school where one student challenges the headmaster's authority. Other students start thinking, maybe we can also break the rules. If the headmaster does nothing, soon the whole school will be out of control. But if he quickly punishes the first student, everyone else will fall in line. This is what Mangalesha did. He crushed the rebellion before it spread. Conclusion. Many rulers wanted independence from the Chalukyas. A rebel in Konkan fortified islands and thought he was safe. Mangalesha built a bridge of boats, attacked and destroyed the rebellion. This sent a strong message. No one could escape his control. Would you like me to explain any part in more detail? Araya's struggle for power, a simple explanation.
Who is Araya?
Araya was a prince from the Chalukya dynasty. His uncle, Mangalesha, was the king. Araya wanted to be king, but Mangalesha and his sons wouldn't let him. This forced Araya to run away and start a rebellion. How did Araya build his army? Araya travelled from village to village across the Deccan. He walked through hot fields, thick forests, and steep hills in search of allies. He met chiefs, warriors, and noble families, trying to convince them to support him. He offered rewards like loot, gold, jewels, money, land, territory for them to rule, titles, making them powerful officials, marriage alliances, strengthening their families. How difficult was Araya's journey? It was not easy. He and his followers often slept under the open sky. They heard tigers roaring at night while they rested. Sometimes they had to survive intense heat, heavy rain, and long days of travel. But Araya never gave up. He kept fighting for his chance to be king.
Araya
Learns to lead. As Araya gained more followers, he learned how to fight and command an army, persuade people to join him, make promises and threats, reward loyal supporters, punish those who betrayed him. Araya's army grows. Slowly, his small group turned into a powerful army. Soldiers and warriors flocked to his side, ready to fight. Araya started winning battles against his uncle. He saw many soldiers die, even some he knew from Vatapi. But Araya had only one goal, to defeat Mangalesha and become king. The final battle is coming. As Araya won more fights, he became stronger. Mangalesha could no longer ignore him. A final battle between uncle and nephew was about to happen. Example to understand this. Imagine a boy in school whose uncle is the principal. The boy thinks, I should be in charge, but the principal and his sons won't let him. The boy leaves the school, going from classroom to classroom, convincing other students to support him. He promises them cool rewards like control over clubs, better grades, or free snacks. Slowly, more students join his side, and soon he has his own army of supporters. Now he's ready to challenge his uncle and take over the school. Conclusion. Araya ran away and travelled across the Deccan to gather supporters. He promised rewards to anyone who helped him. He learned how to lead an army and fight battles. His small group grew into a mighty force. A final battle with his uncle Mangalesha was now inevitable. Would you like me to explain any part in more detail? Pulakeshin Tsuku becomes king, a simple, detailed explanation. 1. The Battle of Nadanuru, 609 CE. Pulakeshin II was originally called Araya. He was the nephew of King Mangalesha. But Mangalesha did not want Araya to become king, so Araya fought against his uncle for the throne. Where did the battle happen? The battle took place in a village called Nadanuru. It was a place somewhere in the Chalukya kingdom. What happened in the battle? There was a lot of fighting between the two sides. The ground was covered in dust, making it hard to see. Soldiers were shouting, fighting, and running. The battle was chaotic, very messy and confusing. After a few hours, one side won and the other lost. 2. What did Araya do after winning? Araya was now the new king, but he needed to prove his power to the people. So he called the elders, important old people of Nadanuru. He met them under a simple tent made of wood and cloth. What gift did Araya give? He gave land to the village elders. He also gave them tax money, money collected from people in the area. This was his first act as a king. 3. How did Araya become Pulakeshin II? Long ago, Araya's grandfather Pulakeshinu became king by performing a horse sacrifice. The sacrifice of the horse was a big royal ceremony. It was a way to show power and gain the title of king. How was Araya different? Araya did not sacrifice a horse. Instead, he fought and killed his uncle, Mangalesha. Because of this, he was officially recognized as the new king. He was now called Pulakeshin II. 4. Did people think Pulakeshin II was weak? Some rulers from neighboring kingdoms thought he was too young and weak. They thought he would not be as strong or capable as his uncle Mangalesha. But they were completely wrong.
Why were they wrong?
Pulakeshin II was very intelligent. He was a great leader and warrior. He understood politics, how to control power inside his kingdom. He also understood geopolitics, how to deal with other kingdoms.
5.
Example to understand this story. Imagine a big family business. Pulakeshin I, grandfather, was the first powerful boss. He became the boss by doing a big famous action, the horse sacrifice. Mangalesha, uncle, took over the business and did not want Araya to take over. Araya, Pulakeshin II's, fought with his uncle to gain control. After winning, he gave rewards to people and proved he was... Some people thought he was too young to lead, but he surprised everyone and became one of the greatest rulers of his dynasty. 6. Conclusion. Pulakeshin II's rise to power. Pulakeshin II won the battle at Nadanuru. He gave gifts to the village elders, proving he was now the king. He became king by defeating his uncle, not by performing a horse sacrifice. People underestimated him, but he proved them wrong. He would later become one of the greatest Chalukya kings in history. Would you like me to explain anything even more deeply? Pulakeshin II's rise to power, a simple and very detailed explanation. I will explain everything step by step, in the easiest way, like I am teaching a child with no prior knowledge. Pulakeshin II becomes king, but faces a big problem. Pulakeshin II had just become the king of the Chalukya dynasty, but many people did not fully accept him as their ruler. Some powerful nobles and vassals, smaller kings under his rule, were not loyal to him. This was a big problem because if Pulakeshin did not act fast, he could lose his throne. 2. Two enemies try to overthrow Pulakeshin II. Seeing Pulakeshin's weak position, 2 strong men from northern Deccan, another region, thought, "This is our chance. Pulakeshin is weak. If we attack now, we can become kings instead." These 2 men planned to remove Pulakeshin II and take his kingdom. Pulakeshin II had to act quickly, or he would be defeated. Part 3. Pulakeshin II uses a clever plan. Pulakeshin II did not just rely on war and fighting. Instead, he used a smart political strategy that had 4 steps. 1. Conciliation sandhi, making peace or forming alliances. 2. Gifts, dina, giving rewards like land, money, or elephants to gain support. 3. Dissension, beda, creating problems between enemies, making them fight each other. 4. Force, danda, using an army to defeat enemies in battle. How did he use these 4 strategies? 1. Pulakeshin bribed one of the 2 enemies to join his side. He gave him many elephants, a symbol of power in battle. He gave him high ranks and special titles, making him an important person in the kingdom. 2. Now, Pulakeshin had an even stronger army because one of his enemies had switched sides. 3. With this new support, attacked the second enemy and completely defeated him. 4. Did this really happen? Or was it propaganda? We know about this battle because it was written in an inscription. This inscription was written by Pulakeshin II's court poet. It was found on Meguti Hill in Aihole near Badami. The inscription describes Pulakeshin as a brilliant and wise king. But was this completely true? Some historians think this story was written to make Pulakeshin II look perfect. It might have been a way to show that he was a great king who followed traditional Indian political strategies. In reality, the situation might have been more complicated. 5. Pulakeshin's next step, attacking the Kadambas. Now that Pulakeshin II had secured his throne, he had another big challenge. The Chalukya kingdom's political network was weak. Many smaller rulers, vassals, were still not completely loyal to him. Pulakeshin needed to prove his power and make sure everyone respected him.
Who were the Kadambas?
The Kadambas were an old enemy of the Chalukyas. They had been fighting for 2 generations, many years. The Kadambas were a powerful dynasty in the Deccan region. Pulakeshin II realized that the Deccan was too small for both the Chalukyas and the Kadambas. One dynasty had to win and one had to lose. 6. Example to understand this story easily. Imagine a school where a new principal, headmaster, takes charge. Pulakeshin II is like a new principal who takes control of the school. But some senior teachers don't accept him and try to remove him. Instead of fighting everyone, Pulakeshin II wins one teacher over by giving him a special position. Then, with this teacher's help, he removes the second rebellious teacher. Now, Pulakeshin II needs to show the students and staff that he is in full control. Which is an old rival, the Kadambas, to prove he is strong and restore order. 7. Why this was important in history. Pulakeshin II secured his throne using intelligence and strategy. He did not just fight battles, but used bribery, alliances and war together. He showed he was a smart and strong leader. His attack on the Kadambas helped strengthen his rule. This was just the beginning of his great reign as one of the most powerful Chalukya kings. 8. Conclusion. Pulakeshin II's smart leadership. Pulakeshin II faced immediate threats after becoming king. He used a clever mix of bribery, alliances, and military power to win. He secured his kingdom by defeating challengers. He then attacked an old enemy, Kadambas, to show his strength. This made him one of the most powerful kings in Chalukya history. Would you like me to explain anything more deeply? Pulakeshin II, strengthening his power and defeating the Kadambas. I will explain this word by word, line by line, step by step, in the easiest and most detailed way possible. 1. Is the inscription completely true? The story of Pulakeshin II's victory was written on a temple inscription, but historians wonder, is this completely true? The inscription was written by Pulakeshin's court poet. A court poet's job is to praise the king, not always tell the exact truth. Maybe the poet exaggerated Pulakeshin's intelligence and bravery. The poet wanted to show that Pula perfect king, just like the kings described in ancient Sanskrit books like the Artha Shastra and Ramayana. Pulakeshin's grandfather also created his image. Pulakeshin II's grandfather, Pulakeshin I, also built his reputation carefully. I claimed that he studied the Vedas, ancient Hindu scriptures. But maybe he did this just to impress people. Many kings in ancient India wanted to be seen as wise and powerful, so they promoted their image. Example, imagine a school where a student wants to become the class leader. He tells everyone that he is the best student. He says that he reads all the textbooks and knows everything. But in reality, he might not be as perfect as he claims. Similarly, ancient kings often created a strong and wise image to gain respect and loyalty. Pulakeshin II, a clever and bold king. Even if the inscription was exaggerated, one thing is clear. Pulakeshin II was a smart and powerful ruler. He did not just sit on the throne and enjoy his victory. He knew that his position was still weak. His kingdom's political network was broken. Many allies were lost. So now he had to restore his power and send a strong message. 4. A king must reward his loyal people. After winning battles, Pulakeshin the sect had many new supporters. These supporters helped him become strong, so now they expected rewards. In ancient times, kings rewarded brave warriors with land, gold, and titles. If Pulakeshin did not reward his people, they might stop supporting him, so he needed to give them something valuable, like land and wealth. 5. Pulakeshin II looks for a new enemy. Pulakeshin II needed a way to reward his men. The best way? Attack a rich kingdom and take its wealth. He looked at his family's oldest enemy, the Kadambas. The Kadambas were a powerful dynasty in the Deccan region. The Chalukyas and Kadambas had been fighting for 2 generations, many years. But now, Pulakeshin II decided to end this rivalry once and for all. Example, imagine 2 families in a village fighting for many years over land. One family has become stronger. They decide to attack and take full control. The weaker family, Kadambas, must either surrender or fight back. The Deccan was not big enough for both of them. Pulakeshin II realized something very important. The Deccan is not big enough for both the Chalukyas and the Kadambas. This means that only one of them could survive as a major power, so Pulakeshin decided, I must destroy the Kadambas completely. What happens next? Pulakeshin II prepares his army for war against the Kadambas. His goal is to defeat them and take full control of the Deccan region. This war will make him even more powerful and show that he is the undisputed ruler. 8. Final summary. The whole story in the simplest words. 1. The inscription about Pulakeshin's victory may have been exaggerated. His poet wanted him to look like a perfect king. 2. His grandfather also built a strong royal image, claiming to study the Vedas. 3. But Pulakeshin II was truly a bold and clever king. He acted fast to secure his power. 4. He had to restore his kingdom's political network, bring back lost allies and control. 5. To keep his new supporters happy, he needed to reward them, which meant conquering new lands. 6. He decided to attack the Kadambas, his family's ancient enemies. 7. The Deccan was not big enough for both the Chalukyas and the Kadambas. Only one could remain strong. And 9. Why Pulakeshin II was a great ruler. He was not just a warrior, but a master strategist. He knew how to build his reputation and gain loyalty. He understood the importance of rewarding allies and expanding his power. He was ready to eliminate any obstacle in his way. Would you like me to simplify any part even more?